Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are looking at this Masters of the Universe Eternian Palace Guard, the Royal Defender. So, I believe this toy was initially a PowerCon exclusive. Correct me if I'm wrong, my memory's kind of hazy on this. And then I remember some months later, after this was revealed that it was going to be a PowerCon exclusive, it was made available to certain online retailers like Big Bad Toy Store. So I remember one morning I got the email from Big Bad Toy Store stating that they were going to get this in stock. And then I kind of slept on that notice. And then I went back to the link like 2 hours later, and I believe it was sold out. So they actually had two pre-order sets, and I think if you got your pre-order in the first time around, I think they said it was going to ship sometime in like September or October. But then immediately after it sold out, I think a little bit later they opened up a second set of pre-orders, and then if you got the second set of pre-orders in, I think it was going to ship maybe December or possibly early 2022. All right, so flash forward to now, which is October 13th, 2021. And I believe over the last few weeks, some of the people that have pre-ordered it are finally getting it in the mail. And this specific one here that we have, I actually got this through a third-party seller on Amazon. I want to say I paid maybe like $36 or $38 before shipping and before tax, and that was roughly the going price on eBay through eBay sellers, give or take a few dollars. And I want to say right now this still might be available through some online retailers, like I think Entertainment Earth, and I believe their Eternian Guard's going for $16.99. The only downside to that is I believe you won't get that until sometime next year. So if you can wait until next year, you could probably put in a pre-order now at, Entertainment Earth or some of the other online retailers that still have this available or have pre-orders open. But like I said, I caved in. I paid the higher secondary market price on Amazon, mostly because, it was roughly the same price I would have paid on eBay. But for me, I had the security of ordering it on Amazon just because I was going to get this like a few days later. And it was going to ship from Amazon, not actually from the third-party seller. The only gamble I was taking is, sometimes with Amazon, their shipping isn't always the greatest. But fortunately for me, this was actually shipped in a box. And the only damage to the packaging was this folded corner here. But I don't know if that was, caused by the shipping or if that's how the seller originally had it. All right, so enough about that. Let's focus on the toy itself. So this is a figure people have been wanting for a long time. With the Masters of the Universe Classics line, they had something very similar. That toy line, it's a larger scale figure. I believe those are like maybe 7-inch figures. And their Eternian Palace Guard was similar to this in the sense that I think it had additional heads. I'm not sure if it had different armor options. But I remember that figure was great just because that's a great army builder, much like this one. And I know when this was first revealed for PowerCon, people were really, really excited about it. And that's why, when they opened up pre-orders on the online retailers, it sold out quickly because, people want to amass armies of this. And it's just a really, really cool looking dude. All right, so as we examine the package, it's really nice. I love the box art. It's beautiful. You see a squad of the guards up here. And it's kind of cool also because they kind of even do the different variations. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a variant guard or if this is supposed to be one of the iterations of Man-at-Arms. But it's cool. Here's the palace, and they're defending the palace against this, these skeleton warriors. Yeah, more box art on the side. Same here. Now, some people were theorizing that this might be Moss Man, which, if you look at it, it seems very plausible. I love the illustration on the back here. You have the inside of the throne room. You have King Randor. There's Tila. It looks like Man-at-Arms might be like frozen, like in crystal. And then you have the Palace Guards. I'm unfamiliar with the character back here. I don't know who that might be. Part of me wants to say that's... Initially I was going to say Vicor, but I don't think so. Not sure what's going on here. What's going on here. The caption reads, as the first line of defense, the Eternian Palace Guards protect King Brandor and Queen Marlena from outside threats. So we're also looking here at the play features. So all the armor pieces are detachable. You can swap the head for Man-at-Arms. So this is the OG Man-at-Arms, the one without the mustache. You have also in this wave, you have He-Man. You have the Lords of Power, Beastman, Skeletor, Stinkor, Webster, and the Eternian Goddess. And there's also the Wind Raider. Alright, so Masters of the Universe, I was like a big fan of the toys as a kid, but the fiction always kind of escapes me. So I remember, I think the Eternian Goddess, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the character that appears in the mini comics, right? So if you have any information about that, just leave it in the comments below, but I want to say that's what it is. Not 100% sure. Alright, let's open this up and check out the Eternian Palace Guard. I'm really looking forward to checking this figure out. It looks awesome. Alright, so this figure, it seems like, when they first announced it, everyone, kind of made a mad dash for it. And then when the pre-orders went up, it was so popular that they had to open up two different sets of pre-orders. But right now, I'm seeing this figure a lot on, secondary markets like eBay. So if you could be patient, I think the price will probably eventually drop. And as I mentioned before, there's some online retailers like Entertainment Earth where their prices is actually really, really reasonable. Like, they're offering this figure for $16.99 last time I checked. But it's like, you just have to be patient because if you order it from them, you're not going to get it until next year. But if you're impatient like me, you can always go to, resort to Amazon or eBay or, some other third-party website. Alright, we have the documentation here. Like most Origins figures, they come with this kind of small little sheet, and it kind of details what part of the figure is detachable or swappable. So for this dude, you can remove his head, his arms, he detaches at the waist, and also the boots. And if you're daring enough, you can submerge the figure in boiling water and actually remove the legs too, because that will soften up the plastic, and you can detach the thighs from the crotch piece. But just be careful doing that. You don't want to accidentally scald or burn yourself. Okay, so first impressions of the figure while it's still in the tray. Excited, really impressed, and I love that it's a deluxe figure that they give you lots of options. This is something I wish more toy companies would do. For example, I would love it if Hasbro did a similar package like this for Stormtroopers. It'd be awesome if they gave you a deluxe Stormtrooper set where maybe you get the basic Stormtrooper here, but then you get the additional options, maybe you can swap out the head, you can swap out the armor, give it maybe the higher ranking pauldron, or maybe give it the weapons pack or the backpack. Give it the different kind of rifles or blasters. I'd love something like that. And it's cool that Mattel is doing that with the Palace Guard, because they're giving you the option of army building this for one, but at the same time, it's kind of if you want to create old school Man-at-Arms, you have that option here. Or if you want to modify the armor loadout on the Palace Guard, you could. So I love that they give us lots of options. It's a great play feature. For collectors, it's a wonderful thing, especially if you want to army build, or if you just want to amass a large collection of Origins figures, but, kind of customize them, because there's like almost like an infinite amount of variations you could do with this guy, with all the different armor options. You can swap out this chest piece for that one. Maybe like remove certain armor pieces, and I don't know, the options are limitless. Alright, so here, the first thing we'll look at is the OG, old school Man-at-Arms head. So if you grew up in the 80s, you'll remember that Man-at-Arms did not have a mustache initially. It wasn't until I think the cartoon had it. And as a kid, that always kind of threw me off. It always bothered me when the cartoons and the toys didn't necessarily match. I got that with Masters of the Universe, like the attack tracks didn't look the actual toy vehicle didn't look like the one I saw in the cartoon. Man-at-Arms had like a mustache. It was weird, it was disjointed, and that was a commonplace. Like if you watch the old 80s Transformer cartoons, Jetfire doesn't look anything like the actual toy, and he's called Skyfire. But if you know the legal reason behind that, that's a whole other story altogether. But there's always been this history of inconsistency between the actual toy line and the cartoons. So it's cool that you get this OG Man-at-Arms head. And if you have the first release Man-at-Arms head with the mustache, you can always just pretend that this is a different character. You can just say it's like a generic guard. Here's the Man-at-Arms chest armor that we saw with the first release of the figure. And the difference between this one and the one that came with the Lords of Power exclusive 5-pack is that armor is different because it has like fur trim around the arms, whereas this one does not. And I'll put this right here. We get a nice, very generic looking shield. Here's the handle. Very simple design, but I like it. I really wish that Mattel would make a standalone weapons pack, much like they did in the 80s. As a kid during the 80s, I remember getting that weapons pack, and I thought it was like the best thing ever. It comes in handy, especially if you're a little kid at the time, because you might lose some weapons. But at the same time, maybe you want to give the characters a different loadout. Maybe like one dude you want to swap out a sword with an axe, or give him a different shield, or just make your own customized hero and just deck them out with the weapons you feel fit. So this is a very nice basic shield. Over here we get the spear, or the it's not the spear, I forgot what it's called. I can't remember the name of the weapon, but it's a long staff with a big I think it's called a halberd. Is that right? The long staff with the blade at the end. I think that's called a halberd. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, just correct me on that. This is nice. It's a little warped and bent in the package, but nothing some hot water could fix. You could easily reshape this. It's a great basic weapon for a palace guard. It would have been nice if they gave us more options, like a sword. But we also do get Man-at-Arms' little mace right here. And over here we have the main event. We have the Eternian Palace Guard. It looks wonderful. This is a great figure. I'm really excited to have it. I did order a second one, so I actually have two of these. This figure is it's meant to be army build. So get a bunch of these and just army build them. It's a awesome, cool looking dude. And yeah, I'm really excited to have this guy. One thing I noticed about this, we'll go into it in a second, is that it looks like this helmet here you can still, I think you can still see the original face underneath. Yeah, so he has a face underneath. I believe it still might be this one. Yeah, it looks like it's the exact same head as this one. The only thing different is that the helmet piece is different, and the helmet piece includes the face guard. So with the original Eternian Guard that we got with the Masters of the Universe Classics, I believe it came with 2 heads. And I think, or maybe 3 actually. I think you got like a Caucasian head, a black head, and then I think the other head was like maybe like a reptilian head. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I never had that set myself, but I do remember like wanting it really bad at one point in time. But yeah, this is a great figure. It really it has all the key points that you want for the Eternian Guard. It has the great looking chest armor with the emblem in the middle. And the emblem's actually painted. It's almost like a bright, I want to say copper. A bright light copper. It's hard to see on my camera, but there is like a semi-tiny metallic finish to it. He comes with the 2 shoulder pieces, the 2 forearm gauntlets, and then the 2 shin guards. And I believe the body is identical to Man-at-Arms. In terms of articulation, his head rotates left and right, looks up and down. It's the standard articulation you expect from the Origins figures. It rotates, goes out, elbows bend and they swivel, wrist swivel, waist swivel, the legs kick, they go out, knee bend, knee swivel, and there's ankle articulation. Alright, so the great thing about this figure is that it provides you with options. So if you wanted to, you can recreate Man-at-Arms very easily. Just take off the armor pieces. It's not working. Just give me a moment. This one's being stubborn. All right, that's coming off. And I believe Man-at-Arms, the figure only has armor on his left side. So if you want to recreate Man-at-Arms, you take off these pieces. And then you could put this on. All right, I'm not going to tab these in just so I can remove it a little bit more easily, but I just want to give you an idea of what it looks like. So if you want to make Man-at-Arms, he's going to look like this. If you don't have him already. So there we go. You have Man-at-Arms. So yeah, it's great that they give you options. And let's compare it with the actual first release of Man-at-Arms in the Origins line. And there he is. So as you can see, this one has the mustache, much like how he looked like in the cartoon. And one thing that's different too also is actually the helmets. If you look at the helmet here, he has some additional detailing up at the front of the helm, right there. There's like a panel with like a button and some trim, whereas this helmet does not have that. So you can see it here, but it's absent there. And as I stated earlier, one of the big differences I believe with the Lords of Power Man-at-Arms is I think he has like fur trim. I have that figure, but it's still in the box set. He has like fur trim, I believe, around the armor here, and I think he might have the boot knife, if I remember correctly. One thing that was curious about the marketing images for this figure is that, you know, they had, I'm not sure if it was just like a mistake in terms of the photographer and the modeling, but one thing they did was they actually put the armor on in one of the promotional images upside down like this. So instead of having the neck and face guard on his chest here like how it's supposed to, they had it reversed out, so it was flipped upside down, which it looked kind of interesting to me because in some ways I could kind of buy into that, just because it looks like this is more of like an abdominal guard, to like guard his lower torso, and it provides like this open chest area. So if you're not like a nitpicker and like a real stickler for like accuracy, I do think it'd be okay if you wanted to just like flip this thing upside down, just to create a different armor option. Although it is kind of technically not accurate, but for the sake that you could argue that Mattel endorses it just because it was in the promotional image. So it's about options and personal preference. So if you want to also, you could, keep this head and maybe swap on this body armor. And then this is like an unmasked guard. And you can still keep this as man-at-arms. So yeah, it's awesome that they give you all these different options with the armor. Like if you want, you can always add and subtract the armor. You don't always need both forearm gauntlets. Maybe all you want is the upper arm, shoulder pads. And that's a cool look also. But one thing that kind of surprises me is that it's crazy to think that underneath this mask is actually the same head as that. But there's a very simple explanation for that. And if you've watched my videos before, alright, so initially when they announced the Eternian Royal Guard, I wasn't able to get a pre-order in. So then I was kind of upset about it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to figure out a way to make my own guard. So if you go back to my back catalog of videos, I actually show you how to make a custom Eternian Guard out of this, the normal retail release of Man-at-Arms. And the only thing I did there was I created a face guard in Photoshop, and then I provided a template that you could print out and cut. So one thing I discovered is that with a lot of these Masters of the Universe Origin figures is that their heads are generally two pieces. It's normally the hair piece and the face, or the helmet and the face. And for a lot of these figures, not all of them, it's very easy to remove the helmet from the head just because there was not a lot of glue. So one day I was just kind of fiddling around with this, and then I discovered that I was able to detach the helmet from the head. And then after I discovered that, I'm like, you know what? I can make a face guard of my own, which this represents. So I made this paper face guard, and I'll link to the previous video in the description. So if you want to check that video out, you could. And then if I could do this right, first try, let's see if I get it. I made it so you could tuck the mask under the helmet, and then you could kind of have your own custom guard. And all it would cost you is a sheet of paper, and you need access to a printer. So then, that was my quick fix for not being able to get my pre-order in, But little did I know that, some months later that this guy here would be readily available on like eBay and Amazon. I thought it'd be like one of those impossible things to get. Because it seems like Mattel knew that it was going to be a in-demand item, so they went back to the well and gave us more, and then just upped the stock. So yeah, that was my custom guard with the paper mask, and it was kind of like my fill-in because I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to get the official release, so I just had to make do with a custom. And for me, it's okay. It worked, But it's one thing I found that was cool that once I discovered that weird trick is that, depending on the figure's head, like here's He-Man. I found out they could like just take off his hair very easily. I was reading in my comments, one guy who saw my video, he started fiddling around with his He-Man, and then he said that his He-Man's hair just kind of like fell off like immediately after he just kind of pried at it. It's like there wasn't a whole lot of glue holding it in. So then you can just swap out He-Man's head, and then if you want to create a generic guard, there's another face for it. Although you're going to get this gap here at the sides, but if you don't mind that, that's alright. But I'm kind of curious though. I'm not going to do it with this figure because I don't want to wreck it. But if there's not a whole lot of glue holding this helmet in, hypothetically speaking, you could remove this and just apply this helmet and face mask to like different characters if you wanted to. But it wouldn't matter because you wouldn't see their face anyways. So, since we're on the subject of Man-at-Arms, I have another Man-at-Arms figure here. This is probably my favorite Man-at-Arms figure. Even though the articulation isn't the greatest, I love the head sculpt a lot. This is the Super 7 Man-at-Arms. So for a while, Super 7 had the license to create Masters of the Universe figures. And they kind of emulated the original ones, albeit there were some differences in terms of the figure engineering. So their figure line was based off more of the animation models. So this guy looks a little bit closer to the cartoon. And I think it looks great. The armor is simplified, as you can see. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of this one. The head looks a lot different. I like this head a lot better. The proportions are a lot better. This one, he looks really squat. It almost looks like Burt Reynolds, the face. The shoulder armors are different. As you can see here, this one has more detail. Same with the forearm gauntlet. Whereas this one, the forearm gauntlet and the shoulder piece is just one piece altogether. He's also a different shade of gray. This one's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit on the darker olive side. Oh, one thing I did notice too, I didn't catch this at first. So the Palace Guard actually has an additional detail. It looks like the emblem here on the belt's painted red. Whereas this guy is this plain blue. So that's another subtle difference. Oh, and also, I just noticed this also. This guy has painted bracers, whereas this guy does not. So his bracers are still green, whereas this one's painted blue. Which is curious just because you never... I mean, if you have this guy all armored up, you're not really going to see it just because his gauntlet's going to be covering it. So yeah, I mean, this is a great figure. A lot of options, and the playability factor is really high. I think the more figures you have of this guy, the more options you have to create different versions of the guard or even new custom characters. If I had to rate this guy numerically on a scale of 1 to 10, easy 9. Easy 9. For one, I think if you could get them for a really good price, like like I said earlier, I think Entertainment Earth has them for $16.99. If you get them for that price, more power to you. It's maybe like $1 more than the average Origins figure that you get at retail, and you're getting like him packaged in a deluxe box with additional weapons and accessories and like another head. The posability is there like the other figures. He's better than the original Man-at-Arms just because he has more paint application on him. But it also comes down to accuracy. It depends on what you want to make. If you want a figure that's closer to the original Man-at-Arms that you had in the 80s, you might want this set just because it comes with this head. I can imagine some collectors also just trying to figure out ways to like utilize these pieces or this body with the first release figure just to make their own perfect Man-at-Arms or their own perfect Eternian Guard. Like for me, I think I'd prefer this body for Man-at-Arms with the more painted details like the bracers and the emblem. And then I think the lesser painted figure I'd probably use for the Palace Guard. That's what I would do at least. But it's great. Excellent figure. Yeah, so I highly recommend it. I think if you're into the Origins line, and if you're this far into the line already, you kind of owe it to yourself to at least, get at least 2 of these guys. But if you're going to be one of those crazy people that get like 10 to 20 of them, I salute you, because that's like something I would dream of. I just don't have the space for it right now. Like, none of my Masters of the Universe figures are actually on display right now. Most of my shelves are taken up by like Transformer toys. There was a time when I'd like rotate my displays. Like sometimes I'd swap out Transformers for like my Marvel stuff, and then after I got bored of looking at that, I'd swap it out for my DC stuff, and then I'd swap it out for like G.I. Joe. But over the years, I've gotten lazy, so I haven't really done that. It's kind of like a nightmare. But I would love to find if I had space, I'd love to like set up a nice diorama or a display for my Masters of the Universe figures. You know, I really commend Mattel for releasing as many figures as they've done in this short amount of time. I want to say the figures have been out for what, like 2 years already. I mean, somewhat longer if you count like the preview figures that were the exclusives at the cons, but I think within the 2 years they've given us so many great figures and so many great characters. So you know, I salute them for like really catering to the fan base. All right, so here's all the different Man-at-Arms and all the different pieces. Hopefully I'll remember what goes to what. Now let's close out this video. So once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. I know my videos could be a little bit long-winded, and I kind of ramble, and I get lost in my thoughts, and I don't know. But this is fun. I enjoy this. I hope you do too. So until the next video, take care of yourself, be safe, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. All right, I'll see you at the next video.